Good evening, everyone. Come on in. Welcome. First of all, I just want to thank you very much for coming tonight. This is a wonderful, exciting opportunity to really open our doors to show you and showcase the amazing middle school program we have. Mr. Willie and I, my associate principal, have been in every classroom since the start of the year, and to see the level of excitement and engagement of our students is infectious. So it's just been really wonderful. I'm really excited for everything that you're going to experience tonight. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Jake Dibbert, the middle school principal. It's my 9th year at the American School of Dubai. I'm joined by Mr. Corey Willie, who's the associate principal. He'll be speaking here in just a few minutes as well. Some friendly faces in the office. If you've never met Miss Pam or Miss Diala, please do stop by to say hello. And if you need anything from them, they're your first point of call in the middle school office. We have 3 amazing counselors in the middle school that work with different grade levels. Miss Bertha Knox in the middle is new to us this year, and she's the grade 6 counselor. Miss Courtney Beck is working with our 7th grade students, and Miss Silva is working with our 8th grade students. So they will be around tonight as well, but I know that if they were up here, they would be saying welcome and thanks for coming. They're joined by Miss Pina in the counseling office. So we're going to jump right into it. Please, if you're just coming in, just come on in and grab a seat. I showed this quote last year, so if you're a returning middle school parent, this one is not new. There are some new ones that are coming up in a few minutes, but it's so powerful to really frame what middle school is all about. This is from the book, The Gift of Failure. And one of the first lines of the book says, middle school is prime time for failure. Especially, I would even use the word especially for students that maybe have sailed through school up to that point. There's so much that goes on developmentally for students during the middle school years that there are inevitable failures that happen. Please, come on in. Just come on in and grab a seat. And so, with that as a framework, it's really us working together, parents, teachers, and students, to really frame what those experiences are, to help them develop the skills that they need to serve them better in the future. That's that book. If you grabbed it last year, it's an excellent read. I also showed this quote last year, and I'm going to show it one more time just because it also is so powerful. It talks about the importance of giving your child the space to struggle. And that's so difficult, I understand that. But that experiencing failure helps children have opportunities to learn and grow and reflect. And so allowing and giving that right to try and fail is so important. So here's your new one for this year. I read a great book over the summer. I'll show you the title and the cover in just a minute. Madeline Levine is a psychologist, child psychologist, works especially with adolescents. I don't know if you've ever read any of her material. But this quote says, we need to deal with the child that's in front of us and not the child of our fantasies. It's such a powerful quote to me. When I read this quote, I thought about my own children, the proud father of twin boys, and a little girl, and they're 4 years old in about 2 weeks. Actually, this is their 3rd day in nursery school, so I'm a first-time parent in the school, and so that's an interesting juxtaposition. But what I'd like to really draw upon is raising my twins was so difficult, and it continues to be difficult because we've raised them in the same household, they've been exposed to the same parenting style, they've eaten the same meals, they've had the same amount of stimuli, and they are so completely different. It makes you feel like you don't have control. And as soon as you start to maybe compare your child to an older sibling or to a friend's child, you start to set expectations in your head for how you want your child to be, and maybe that's a frustrating experience if they're not going in that particular direction. Here's a clip from that particular author that I'd like to speak about in just a minute.
You go to any school in America and you walk into the entrance and what you see is the honor roll and the athletic scholarships. And that makes it feel like nothing else counts. Those of us who, if you're a parent, you've been around for a few years, you know that authentic success is a much broader, much deeper concept than easily observable success. So authentic success is success that feels owned by the child. It's not something you did, it's not something they got help with, it feels like their own version of who they are. And I think the most important thing a parent can do, the single most important thing a parent can do, is actually get to know their child authentically, who that child really is. Not who you wanted that child to be, not who your sister's child is, but every child brings extraordinary gifts into a family, and if we take the time and pay attention and help our child develop their islands of competence, the things they're good at, the things that come naturally to them, the things that interest them, then we help them cultivate a sense of, I own myself. I've got a home in here that really belongs to me, and I think that's authentic success.
Powerful words. The book title itself, thanks Rajesh, if you can, oops, can you go back one slide? I'll send you the book title by Dr. Levine, but really what we're talking about here in terms of authentic success, actually it's on the next slide, I just wanted to speak on what she talked about for a minute. What is it that we're valuing by education? And I think when she's talking and she's using the word parents, I would also insert the word educators, okay? Because we're partners together in getting to know your child. And so what is it that we focus on? How are we communicating what we value through our focus? If we're focusing on effort, then we need to value the learning process and really develop those skills of reflection and self-direction that are so important for middle school children. Just listening and learning, I like to add the word celebrating our students. Each one of your children is so special, and we're so glad that they're here at the American School of Divine because we know that they have gifts to give us, and it's our job to create a program that allows them to realize those gifts themselves so that they can become positive contributors in our school community. So what are we doing as educators to design instruction and design a program that helps them feel supported and encouraged to be who they really are? There's the book. Teach your children well why values and coping skills matter more than grades, trophies, or fat envelopes. New York Times bestseller. It's a great read to really help you navigate if you're a first-time parent of an adolescent child or returning and your second child has kind of thrown you for a couple of curveballs. It's a great book to really kind of help understand where they're at and what we can do together to cultivate their persona and their identity as a young person. So what's it all about? Our mission talks about passions. Our mission talks about being agents and being contributors and adapting in the world. We can't do that unless we turn the learning over to the child. So I've been challenging teachers this year to find ways to give your child voice in the classroom, voice in what they're learning about, choice in how they learn it and how they communicate their learning, because if we don't, then it just becomes a set of tasks that kids can check off of a checklist, and they're really good at that, but where are they inserting their voice and co-creating that learning? That, I think, is what we're really defining as personalization. Really finding ways for kids to self-direct the learning process. So here's a little graphic that Mr. Willie and I came up with over the summer that I think really encapsulates what we try and do at the ASD Middle School. On one side, it's really about that empowerment and that personalization, but we also realize that that can't happen unless they're in a supportive community that allows them to take risks and tell them it's okay to try and okay to fail and grow and learn through those experiences. Focusing a little bit more on that personalization piece, we've got a set of learning principles, and our focus this year as educators as we try and design a learning program that gets at that empowerment and personalization is right here in front of us. So what are we doing instructionally to make that happen? We like to define that, or we're trying to create an understanding or a definition of what would be called an expert learner. That really means developing in your child the ability to be resourceful and knowledgeable. What are they using from the world around them to create their prior experiences, to make new connections and apply skills in new ways? Are they strategic and goal-directed? So are we teaching them the goal-setting process, the goal orientation process, that then will become a level of automaticity and authenticity in the way that they're setting their own goals? Because that's what successful adults do, right? We all kind of have our mental goals that we're working towards and we're analyzing all along the way. And then that purposeful and motivated piece. So where is our program ensuring relevancy so that kids really develop a passion for learning and know that growth mindset is going to be the key to future successes? I shared a story with your children on the first day of school about William. William is from Malawi. William grew up in a poor family. At 8th grade, he couldn't afford $80 for a year's worth of tuition at his local high school, so he had to drop out. And his family at the time was experiencing extreme poverty and a lack of proper irrigation. So he went to the local library in this small Malawian town, and he checked out an 8th grade science textbook, an American science textbook. He didn't know how to read English that well, but he studied the diagrams around what it was like or how to build a windmill. Then he went out and he found the stuff. He found half of bike parts, he found old engine pieces, and created. Everybody thought he was crazy, and the book that he wrote proves that everyone in the town didn't really know what he was doing. He built a windmill. He recognized that through that process he was able to achieve some of his goals. He went on to build a larger windmill, and he's actually gone on now to become a successful TED Talker. He graduated from Dartmouth College in 2014. He travels the world to share his story about what it means to be an innovator and to share his compassion and his passions with others. And he wrote this book, and he's our visiting author this year. So we're really excited to have William come and join us, using this book really as a framework for us to really show what it means to be an expert learner. You have to be resourceful in order to be innovative. You need to have more open-minded approaches to learning in order to achieve your dreams. And I think that sharing this story with students and teachers will help us frame what we're trying to accomplish in our middle school this year. Here's an example from a science classroom just this past week to talk about exactly what that means. Our teachers are gathering data and information on your child at breakneck paces over these first few weeks. They're not just learning their aptitudes or their achievement levels in particular subject areas. That's important to know. But it's also really important to know about interests and to know about what topics they might like to cover, because this information will become crucial later on in the year as teachers really model and create learning opportunities that are more authentic and relevant for children. Here's an example from a math classroom this week where the student talks about all about me, and you have to figure it out using certain math formulas. So you're already combining activating prior knowledge about math and sharing and building that classroom community, which we know is so important. Just a few more examples of what expert learning is already looking like this year in the classroom. We really are working to make sure that all learning is highly engaging. That doesn't mean loud and overt, but it really means kids thinking deeply and critically about problems and learning those problem-solving skills that are going to help them become better innovators. As I talked about previously, voice and choice in the learning process is so important. And so where is there opportunities for students to co-create the learning experience and choose the best way to communicate what they've learned in a way that makes sense to them? Self-direction and goal orientation. We have a conferencing system and portfolios and several systems in place to help students with those metacognitive-based skills they need in order to kind of track their learning journey. They're actually highly engaged. They're not sleeping in this picture. But what strategies are they using to cope with stress? Because stress is very real in middle school, and we need to learn ways to sort of navigate and regulate what our emotional responses are to everyday experiences. And risk-taking. It's so important for our children to understand and to celebrate taking risks and not always having the right answer. Like I said before, our children are very good at raising their hand when they have the right answer, and more often than not, they do have the right answer. But how are we framing questions or designing learning tasks that don't always ask for a right answer? And a biggie from last year is really just what is that word failure all about? And we continue to drill on that with students to help them understand that that failure is something to celebrate. And then just one more really quick fun video from science, because science in middle school is fun.
This, and to add this, we want to think about matter and energy.
Yo!
Whoa! What?
Toothpaste.
So guys, you can put your hand closer, and you can even you can touch a little bit of the foam, but make sure to wash your hands after.
Go on the tip. Yeah, that's
Hi everyone, I'm Corey Willie, I'm the middle school associate principal. Just wanted to touch on real quickly that other side of the coin. We view this as really two sides of the same coin. William might have had a lot of people in his community that thought he was crazy, but he had a few trusted people that saw his passion and supported him. And without that, he really couldn't succeed. He might have even had some people that said, you might be crazy, but I'm going to help you anyway because you're so excited about this windmill thing. So we hope to create the same type of community in our school. You're going to see this language a lot throughout the middle school and the whole school this year. Just this idea of the Falcon Way. It's just a way to say this is how we do things around here. And we actually engage students in a process of co-creating some positively stated expectations around student behavior. Last year, I have a little clip of that, if you don't mind queuing that up for Desh. This is what it looked like in one of our faculty meetings last year. So they're deciding what positive expectations look like, what our core values look like in different areas of our school. So in the hallway, in the classroom, in the theater, on the sports field. And they're making those expectations together. We have a whole matrix. But this is an example you'll see around the school. So just unpacking our core values and making sure that we don't expect students to understand necessarily what we mean by compassion or respect or excellence without some positive examples. So we're working on that this year to create that community advisory, as you know, is a really important piece of that. You'll experience that in a moment where we kind of pair students with a trusted adult. We really work on building trust between students and between students and an adult advocate. These are our co-created advisory outcomes. And this is a question we really believe every school should ask of their students. And we ask this of our students every year, and we're tracking it, and this is a data point we're really trying to improve on. Students say that they have at our school, over 70% of them say they have at least one adult they could go to if they were experiencing a really difficult problem. We'd like that number to get up to 80 or 90% this year, so that's one of our points of emphasis. Little point about something Jake mentioned, one way that we support student agency and support students to kind of bring all of those kind of what can seem like siloed subjects together and help them express what that's like for their lived experiences, our goal setting and our student-led conferences. Just a slight change to let you know about. The goal setting conferences traditionally have been on a day set apart, which can be a little bit difficult for parents to manage, and we also got some feedback that we're missing a whole instructional day for those conferences, and we already have students coming in for parent-student-teacher conferences on October 31st and 1st. So we have a revised format for that. Instead of coming in on a separate day, we're going to ask you to let the student really lead you through their goal-setting slides, their student portfolio, on the same day that you come in to meet with the teachers in the field house and the parent-student-teacher conferences. So we'll have some spaces set aside for that. You're also welcome to create a space, maybe by going to a special dinner or going to a coffee shop or something with your child, and letting them really lead you through their learning journey. We will have a time for you to come in later with their advisor in the year to see how they did on their goals. But that's a little bit of a change that we want to make you aware of this year. Back to Jake.
Thanks, Corey. We're going to try and rush through the last few slides here so you're not all late for your first class tonight. Really, this is what it boils down to, and if you take this away from tonight, this is the most important thing. Tonight is about building trust. These teachers have put together fantastic presentations to show you who they are as people, what they care about, their passions as educators, and how they're getting to know your child and building these supportive communities that we've been talking about tonight. Trust the developmental stage of your child is not always going to be nice and neat. It's not always going to be linear. There's going to be ups and downs. We're here to support that. You should, support it at home as you do, but just know that we need that space. Your child needs that space in order to live that experience. We have your child's best interests in mind. Coming to the table to problem solve how we best support children is exactly what our teachers are here to do. Trust that your child's learning the skills they need to handle problems on their own, and that we all want them to be successful. Just a few very brief announcements while we have everybody in the room. Tomorrow, during the school day, we have our Week Without Walls launch meeting, and I sent a special principal's letter last week to invite you to that session. If you can't make it, that's okay. We're going to videotape that entire event and email it out to you so that you can watch it. But there are some changes to the Week Without Walls program this year that we think you'll be really interested in. So if you're a parent of grades 7 and 8, you can come back here tomorrow for that session and hear from myself and from some of our tour providers, our trip providers. We'll also have just a very brief grade 6 presentation. Again, it's not mandatory that you come, but we want to get it out there that this is what our program is all about. And we have a Week Without Walls website, so you can go out and view all the trips and see all the detailed itineraries that are linked onto the website, just so that you can make an informed decision about one of our most exciting programs here in the middle school. We have a counselor presentation, a day in the life of an MSer, and that's next week. So make sure that you're looking at all of our communication avenues to make sure to attend that, and that's put on by our counselors. And just a plug for our community. I think if you're new to the ASD community, hopefully in the last few weeks you've heard the word community and how important it is to us that have been here for so long. This school is a special place, and it's because we're all in this together and we all find different ways to contribute. And so we're asking you to think about that. Reflect on ways that you can get involved either formally or informally. Just come on out to a couple of events and introduce yourself. We'd love to see you out and joining some of the fantastic events and programs we have available to everyone. So, just a little bit of housekeeping before I dismiss you to go to your first class. You should have received by email a copy of your child's schedule for this evening. So that would be in your email inbox from your ASD email account. If you don't have access to that, we do have a printed copy that some of you picked up on your way in. But if you don't have a printed copy or the email, see our Falcon ambassadors out in the theater foyer to make sure that you know where you're going for this evening. We have refreshments throughout the middle school, so please feel free to grab a cookie and a cup of coffee. We have maps of where teacher locations are. And Falcon Ambassadors and the red shirts are so eager to help show you around our school and make sure that you get to class on time. And then there's just 2 housekeeping notes. Unfortunately, Miss Evans, who's supporting Miss Buschini in her absence, is unable to be with us tonight. So we do sincerely apologize that if you have a child in that classroom, there will not be a presentation tonight, but we're looking to create a video presentation and send that out to you just so that you can get all the information you need about that class. But advisory is still on, so if you're in Miss Evans' advisory, you can still plan on attending that. And then our Arabic teacher, Miss Beluza, there's an error on the schedule, so if you have Miss Beluza as an Arabic teacher, you'll please go to 301 instead of 206. That's what the schedule looks like. As I said, there's maps all around the building, and we'll be around, so please come on up and introduce yourself. We'd love to hear from you. Here are those important dates one more time if you didn't grab a snapshot of those. Thank you so much for coming. Please have a wonderful evening. Thank you.